I have to say, this subject is so big. We're gonna keep doing videos till we'll like get you as much information as we think actually I should say that we feel is correct to give you out there, because again, you know, we go with our sense of what is this energy, and we really want to talk about it so we can clarify a lot of things. So I'm going to let Susan ask some questions.
Because my information has been so incorrect, and I have been perpetuating this misinformation. I know when people come, sometimes I will hear them say, "Where is the vortex?" Which I know you can't go out and literally see it. It's not like a cyclone that shows up. But my understanding was also you could tell when there was a vortex because of the twisting of the trunk of particular trees. And I believe I'm incorrect.
Well, let me first of all absolve you of guilt. Because even as an author of the best-selling book on this subject, I've perpetuated misconceptions that I found when I came. Yeah. For example, when I got to Sedona, I wrote the book because at the time the problem was people wanted to know where to go and what to do when they got there. In fact, I remember standing on Bell Rock one day and a guy next to me saying, "Hey kid, which one is Bell Rock?" Now we're laughing as locals because we think it looks like a bell, but obviously it wasn't that obvious to that visitor. And I realized it was time for a book that had some beautiful photos of places, clear directions, and then answered some basic questions about what people could expect to feel, what they should do when they got to a place like that.
I'm just going to put the book out.
Over the years, another reason to write the book was, however, because there are so many misconceptions, and now thanks to the internet, those misconceptions get amplified. Because of this tendency for people to want it to be physical, something they can wrap their hands around, we have not only what I referred to in our last video, people looking for evidence in the soil, but also in the trees and the forest. And the most common misconception has been, as you said, that certain trees twist because of the energy of the vortex. Having walked something approaching 15,000 miles in the forests and the high country of Sedona, as well as guiding around the world, I can tell you that junipers and cypress trees twist wherever they are. They're subject to different conditions, but that is not a symptom of the energy of Sedona, of this subtle energy that we have here.
Good to know. And
yes.
I think it is. Anytime there's something mystical,
yes,
it's in the mist, we want to take the magic out of it somehow and make it concrete, make it more scientific. And you just can't do that with the esoteric energies that Sedona holds.
It's natural and it's human to do it. It's the logical side of us that wants to do it. But Sedona is profoundly a place that will not fit into logic.
True. True.
Logically speaking, the three of us should all have different lives in different places.
Exactly.
Many other Sedonans will say the same thing. So it's not a logical place, and that's why it's so valuable when you come to Sedona to keep an open mind. Instead of logically how you might move through Sedona, a visit to Sedona might involve trusting your intuition, following certain signs and whispers and unique experiences that happen to you when you come here. If I can, another major misconception that I think we're ready to move beyond now is one that really, in some ways, has threatened to do damage to Sedona. Again, it's natural how it happened. When Paige Bryant coined the term vortexes, it was natural for people to want to know, where are these spots? Where can I go and perhaps find some X marking the spot out on the red rocks, stand there and have a spiritual experience?
Exactly, exactly.
The problem with this concept is now that we have several million visitors, we are first of all in danger of loving Sedona to death at these places. Yeah. And the second is, for the first time after so many years, we're reaching an emerging consensus that the concept itself is somewhat flawed. And what I mean by that is we have a very large spiritual community of professional practitioners like yourselves. We also have people like myself who've been outdoor guides over the years, who've been able to take people across the land and see who feels what and where. And I think the consensus that we're arriving at in Sedona is, in a sense, the vortexes are dead, but long live the vortex. And what I mean by that is you can't go wrong. It's not focused in any one spot. Certainly you can have your own favorite places in Sedona. Certainly to be at a certain spot for sunset, to be by the creek when you're looking for a sense of healing energy. This is all wonderful to do, but Sedona has 1.8 million acres. And now we know, because we understand sensitivity, that if someone's sensitive to energy, like these two, you may feel it wherever you are in Sedona. And somebody not sensitive to subtle energy may fail to feel it wherever they go.
So, and I think we talked about this in one of our previous YouTube videos, is that if you come to Sedona and you're open to no matter what, maybe it's a conversation, maybe it's the energy, just be open and be in the flow, because you don't know where it's going to come from. You can't have that kind of fixed agenda, or most often you will be disappointed.
I think that's absolutely the case. And Sedona will provide the signs and the whispers.
Yeah.
Everyone you meet, the things you hear, the bumper stickers you see.
Well, I love the whispers that you guys talked about. It was amazing. But also, you know, because we get people to say things like, I went to, for example, a restaurant. I sat in the bar. I was by myself. And then a guy next to me was from Japan. But the reason that I say that is because he just come from Japan, this person. So the person that I'm talking about. So he came from Japan, he did a week workshop here, and then in the end, before he leaves, there's he's sitting next to a Japanese person, and they had this amazing conversation. This is what I want to say, what Sedona is about. You never know where it's going to find you. You never know where the energy is, because it's all over Sedona.
That's such a good point. You know, we've talked today about what can happen to tourists passing through.
Exactly.
We've talked about this deeper feeling of feeling at home to people that often wind up moving to Sedona. I think there's a third level of experience for people like you watching who are on the spiritual path. When people come to Sedona conscious, when they come to Sedona aware that on some level they create their reality, this to me is the most exciting opportunity of all. Tourists that pass through may feel something, it could be wonderful, but they're not going to stay for long. Locals will definitely feel something, but we often don't have a choice in the matter. It can be, in fact, quite unsettling to move here to Sedona from someplace far away. But when you come and you're conscious on the spiritual path, this is where I hope the future of Sedona is for conscious visitors, to take advantage of workshops, retreats, private sessions with professionals like you in Sedona, to go out on the land, not in a way that harms the land, but nurtures and values it. This is what I think is so wonderful about coming to Sedona, when you have an open mind, but you also have a spiritual intention.
Yeah, and you're talking about creating your reality, and this is what happened to the person that I was talking about. He was here, he just come from Japan, a week here to do a seminar, and then all of a sudden, before he leaves, he's sitting next to a Japanese person. So the energies from all over the world, they can connect when you just really open and conscious to feel what the energy is about, because you can take it with you everywhere you go. You don't have to just be in Sedona. You can be, in Japan and bring it to Sedona and then give it back to a Japanese person. You know what I mean? It's like an amazing energy that happens. When I hear it from people, or when I feel it, or when I talk to people, I feel, oh my God, there's another miracle of Sedona.
Part of my research for my forthcoming book has been to talk to people about their stories of the experience of the energy of Sedona. Yes. And I'll tell you of a woman I interviewed recently who was living in South Carolina and had an accident that did some brain damage, in fact. Sort of think of it as a severe concussion. Fortunately, most of the symptoms of that concussion went away except for one, and that was the worst of all. She was unable to feel her feelings.
Oh my God.
Now, she's the mother of 2 children, and she said to me, imagine having 2 kids and knowing intellectually that you love them, but not being able to feel anything in your heart. It was devastating for her. Well, she actually moved to Sedona, and on the day she got here, she had a phenomenon we've talked about. She swelled up with emotion and began to cry. of course, because I've interviewed thousands of people now, I wasn't necessarily shocked by that reaction. We've heard it many times. But she said to me, no, Dennis, it's not what you think. I started crying on the first day, but I didn't stop crying on the first day. She said that I continued crying on the second day, the third day, and the fourth day. All day long she cried. She said her children had no answers. She went for medical attention. Doctors had no answers at all. And then finally on the 21st day, can you imagine 21 days of crying? That hurts, by the way. On the 21st day, she stopped crying and all of her emotions returned. It's an amazing story and one of many that happened to people in Sedona.
And it's been noticed, it's been actually scientifically proven that when you do work for 21 days, your brain can actually shift. Like if you change your watch from one hand to the other, you will keep watching this hand, but in the 18 to 21 days, actually you will start looking at where you put the watch.
How interesting.
Like the brain will change. As a healer, I kind of know that because I've done some research on it. And when you work on spiritual stuff, don't give up. It's 21 days that you need to do it.
Yes.
And that's an amazing story because, again, that's another miracle of Sedona. And it works scientifically because it's been proven. It's been proven that 21 days the brain shifts.
Amazing.
So thank you for that story. I didn't even know that story, but
Sedona is full of them. You start by talking to locals, and then you start to talk to visitors. And I think it's another thing that stands out about this spiritual community in Sedona.
Exactly.
Everyone has a fascinating story.
True.
Nobody came here as part of a plan. People often resisted coming here. And yet there's something about this place that drew them in a way that was unstoppable.
Yeah.
So I think we need to stop here and thank you again for this beautiful watching us, and thank you, Dennis, so much. I know we have a lot more to talk about. So the next one I want to talk about his book. So we'll just let you know when that's going to come, but thank you. Subscribe and like our channel because there's so much information that me and Susan and Dennis can actually share with you. And you see what happens is when Dennis has a story, we have something else to confirm it with, and that's what Sedona is about. So thank you for watching us.
And thank you, Dennis, for enlightening me today.
Thank you.